We live?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Internet. Um, I'm Tom, and welcome to Midnight All Day, a special place where us writers of No Sleep and Reddit and the rest of the world get together to talk about whatever. We usually go around, introduce ourselves. I'm Tom, decorative gentleman on Reddit. I don't know. Who wants to go next? Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Ryan, right on No Sleep as G-Trip 14, and you will know me from two hits this week that I can't remember the title of, but I think one of them was She Will Come to Me Blanketed in the Stars. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Travis?
All right, Travis, and I write under Grand Theft Motto on Reddit. And my fun fact, since I guess we're all giving fun facts, is that my favorite story on No Sleep this week was She Will Come to Me Blanketed in Stars. And also, I posted a No Sleep this week, and I think got beat twice by Ryan. So that's an even funner fact. And Daria, a little introduction and a fun fact, please.
Our special guest.
Our special guest.
Hi, everyone. I'm Peculiar on Reddit, and I haven't written anything in over a month. And no, I wish I had prepared something now, an introduction. Yeah, I work as a user interface designer, and sometimes I write stuff, and it's usually like, it's great when it happens, but it doesn't happen that often, not as often as all the prolific people here today. So
I don't think we're that prolific anymore. We're all kind of slow rolling it. But my funnest fact, I'm gonna give three of them, is that Daria has designed both of my websites, which is their travisbrownwriting.com, and I'm in love with both of them. And the newest version is even better. So please check it out, and then you can see both my website and an example of Daria's work. And if you need a website, just hire her.
Yeah.
This is true, Daria. I hope to have a product to sell so I can hire you to make me a website.
And you're
Wow.
welcome to spend as much time as you want plugging yourself.
Mhm.
Got some agenda here.
Yeah.
So
This is just a really long commercial. At the end of it, I'm going to try to sell some things out of my garage.
Oh, cool. What
Yeah.
kind of things? Like,
shake weights. Ryan's in the shake weight business.
Okay.
oh, okay. That makes
I
sense.
just saw, I was watching, actually, I think I was watching Twitch, and someone was using a shake weight while they were playing a video game.
Mhm.
And I forgot that that was still a thing. So to start us, I mean, here's a great icebreaker. Has anyone ever owned a shake weight? And if not, what is the silliest thing you've ever done for working out for a gym in the pursuit of health? So why don't we go reverse? Ryan?
I
Yeah.
have not owned a shake weight, but I do have a moderately funny story involving a shake weight. So I had a roommate in college, and he was not particularly a physically active guy, but he decided, I really want to bulk up. And so he purchased himself a shake weight. And so I would come home from work, and my roommate was vigorously, double handing the shake weight, which of course, any reasonable adult is immediately cracking up about this. And so it really became a very, very serious point of contention with us, because he would get so angry. I just seemed to show up every time he was using the shake weight, but he refused to do it in his room. And so we would maintain this really intense eye contact when I came in the house, and he would just keep very angry.
I think among certain types of birds, that's technically a mating dance. The eye contact plus the shake.
I did not know that. I thought it was an assertion of dominance personally, but
Yeah.
it could have been a mating dance. I mean, I was a lot more handsome in college.
At
So
the time. But I can't even believe that's possible. But
I know, man. No.
Tom, do you have a fun shake weight and or pursuit of health related story?
I mean, of course I own shake weights. I find it very incredulous that Ryan doesn't. I'm calling him a liar. My workout story is I used to be into fitness very hard for about 6 months. I did one of those like really hard lean in periods where I was eating a lot of eggs and all that powders and stuff like that. And instead of building a seven-story walk up with an elevator, and I would take the stairs up every time instead of the elevator with groceries. I would intentionally get my groceries in hand and walk up those stairs every time. And I don't know, that's like a really shitty story, but yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
I'm imagining that you always did the grocery run in one trip, right? Like you would not have to go back and forth. You just load up
Yeah,
every grocery that you got. Okay.
yeah. I was mad for it. All right, someone share the screen. I got a shake weight here.
It's true. Well, we have a question in chat. It comes from Simba, and Simba did not know what a shake weight was. And so would somebody like to describe how it works to Simba?
I've never used one. Daria, have you ever owned a shake weight?
Give me for now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Little
The
I'm just
tiniest
gonna,
guess.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. For everyone watching, I'm sorry. Someone was supposed to watch my daughter and they didn't. So but I can explain the shake weight. As you can see in this image, it's like, why am I explaining this? Okay.
they seem
it's a
bigger
single
now,
hole.
right? Like
Because you're on a horror show and we talk about shake weights.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so Simba, love you, girl. So happy to see you here. Okay, so you hold this thing, right? And you like shake it with one hand or two, and basically why it's like this little joke amongst like teenagers and these people for some reason, is because it looks quite provocative if you watch a video of it. So yeah, that's what a shake weight is. It's for fitness, but it looks really funny. It looks really weird when you do it. Just watch the videos, you'll get it. I don't know how good it is for fitness.
It harnesses the kinetic potential of male autoeroticism. I think it's been a time-honored tradition for a long time, and then finally someone just had the genius to patent it and put it together as a product. But
I love that. All right, I swear I'm gonna shut up after this and let Tom start us on the actual show proper. But I have one last suggested. Oh no, it's a shake weight commercial. You're gonna get us.
Oh no, just keep talking, Travis. This is just gonna play in the background.
Well, here's my challenge to everyone, since we're all writers here. Come up with your best tagline or slogan for shake weight. Imagine you're now the marketing firm that's been hired. They really want to rebrand shake weight for a modern audience. Just a quick little one sentence or even 2 or 3 words. How would you convince people to buy shake weight? How would you really spotlight all of the wonderful applications of this product? And
I've
Ryan,
already got you.
Okay, Ryan, you go ahead first.
Shake weights, preparing you for prison in more ways than one.
That's not what they do in prison, Ryan. I'm sorry to tell you. No one's doing that in prison unless it's okay. Anyway.
They don't issue shake weights to the inmates anymore.
No, I don't think so.
See, now, Daria, it's funny because Ryan actually works in training for corrections, right? So he's actually seen these giant just galleries of prisoners using shake weights. Because
I'm so uninformed. Okay, I'm so sorry.
It's okay though. I don't. When I post Daria, I'm not like, "Hello, I'm Ryan Major and I work in corrections." It's kind of a weird lead in to read this story about a creature in the sewer. So it's okay.
It's not as weird as what we're doing right now with the stream.
I know. I hope this is what you expected. And
okay, my thing is. Gentlemen of Reddit, it is possible to train to be a Redditor.
Oh, I get it.
I think that focusing on Reddit as a modern platform and how one might best apply themselves to the practice of Reddit and loneliness and sitting in a room by yourself forever. It's a good, it segues nicely with shake weight.
All right, Daria, what is your shake weight slogan / tagline? How would you sell it?
I don't have one. No, I don't. I'm not that witty on the spot. I need time. I'll tell you
and
tomorrow.
neither are we. We're just
Yeah.
confident.
Constantly talking about shake
Get
weights.
blasted.
Get blasted.
I don't know what I'm watching. Got my kid behind me, got this dude here. What is happening?
All right, well, I'll do mine and then we can actually talk about writing. So my slogan for shake weight would be shake weight, grasp an earthquake in your hands. It's got a whole like Olympic vibe to it, Zeus throwing thunderbolts and then you there with the shake weight, just like harnessing the power of the earth and its quakes. So I think that would sell a lot of shake weight. Shake weight, if you're one of our 8 to 12 average viewers, hit me up. I will write a story about a haunted shake weight. I will sell out immediately. I have no scruples. And I'll post it to No Sleep. So
If one of the narrators is watching, you're probably already on the list to do that next.
Yeah, we are available for work. That is the primary reason for this, is so you all know how seriously we take this and we can solicit your business.
yep, commissions.
Okay. Well, I think we can go on to an actual organized game. I don't have one in mind. I was just going to use Jordan's from last week, or the one from the week before. I'm happy to recycle. Or we can go ahead and ask Daria a question to put her in the hot seat.
Daria, you're our special guest. Would you like to play the one that Jordan suggested? He couldn't be here today, nor could Jesse, but we will be rotating folks, hosts, guests every week. His game was called, was it No More Mustaches?
Yes.
Which is you have to name a person, doesn't have to be living, can even be fictional, but then whatever category they fall into, you have to say no more of that. So for example, if you said Neil Armstrong, then you would say no more astronauts. No one else can name an astronaut. And we just
Okay, so what happens is someone names everyone knows, and I don't know that person, and then I look like an idiot. No, ask 2 questions.
All right.
That was a power move, Daria.
She has spoken.
She's
asserted her dominance. So
I like it.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
I completely
let's go
No,
first with a
Okay.
serious writing question for Daria.
why then?
I've
Why
got.
that? Oh,
I don't know what order we usually go in. I've been a passenger on this train, and
I don't
was
know.
prepared to be the conductor.
Make it a free for all, Deco. Just whoever can come out on top.
Okay, I got a question. I was rereading Feathers earlier, the first one, and I was wondering when I was reading your scene work, which was it's very poetic and abstract at times. It's very well polished, and it's very there's a lot there. It's very dense scene setting. And what I'm wondering is when you are writing a description of your setting, are you picturing that setting and then writing it, or are you letting the setting come to life as you're writing it? Are you letting the words inform what it is that you're describing, or do you do something different?
So that one I was really trying to be more literary with that first part. It actually sat in my drafts for like a year before I posted it on a whim. And then all the other parts are like not like that at all. Normally when I'm describing a setting, I'll have a vague idea and then I'll kind of sit in the reader's seat and I'll be like, okay, what are little interesting bits I can point out and describe that will paint the scene, but not not go too much into it, because I usually don't go too much into the descriptions, but I guess that one is pretty descriptive. But do I really like visualize it first? No, I kind of go with what I write. So like I'll visualize a part and kind of comes together as I write it.
So you kind of
Usually.
like jazz.
Hmm?
Or said you kind of write like jazz.
Jazz? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a little. There's definitely not a lot of order in my writing. Like I don't plan anything. I don't have a precise process. I just kind of wing it every time.
So we're like 7 or 8 for 8 seat of your pants. We haven't had one planner. We're having a theme.
I think you're
We
right.
do.
We need to, at some point, if anyone is watching and you're a no sleep or any writer and you're an actual planner, we would like to know that you exist, because apparently all of us just sit down in front of blank Google Docs and just like start slamming our hands on the keyboard, and we're like, okay, this is going to turn into something eventually, which is certainly my
Well,
process.
we actually have a very detailed planner in our chat as we speak. Simba Savage is an
Simba?
extreme planner.
And,
Huge fan of Simba,
Very
yes,
much.
she's lovely. She's lovely.
and that
Great
makes
writer.
sense because she is so good at chess. She must have a very analytical mind and always sees like 8 steps ahead. I've actually played Simba in chess once, and I'm not a great chess player, probably not even a good chess player, but she made me look like it was my first time even coming into contact with the board. So
Now, well, let me ask you guys this. I talk to Simba most every day. For those of you who don't know, who we're talking about is Simba Savage 8 on Reddit. She is a mover and shaker and a moderator over on Short Scary Stories. And I also believe 2 Sentence Scary Stories. Correct me if I'm wrong, Simba. And so I talk to Simba multiple times a day on Discord, and occasionally Simba will send me research papers that she is writing for school, and it is so absolutely daunting. She's so kind about it. She'll say, she'll send me 4 or 5 stories and I'll read them and give her some input, and then the 6th time she'll say, do you want to read one of my research papers? And I try to beg off and say, Simba, I'm not gonna understand it. And she's very kind. She says, no, you'll know what this is. It'll make sense to you. And then I read it and I'm like, this doesn't make sense at all. So it's pretty impressive to see. Not only is Simba an extremely talented fiction writer, but to read her research papers is pretty interesting. So if you guys have not read one, Simba, send them a research paper, give them some homework, make them do something, make them learn.
See, Simba usually sends me posts on TikTok where people have stolen like both of our stories or other writer stories, which is just so infuriating. TikTok in particular, it's difficult. And actually, I think EAP put up a post on No Sleep OOC this week. If you haven't read it yet, go check it out. If you're a writer who's ever had your work stolen, specifically if it's been on TikTok, because she really walks you through the removal process, and it's a pain having a DMCA strike these stories. So if you were also a narrator watching this, please ask permission before you narrate someone's story, because you have to. Yeah, it's the right thing to do, and also you need to do it or you can get strikes. I have a question for Daria, and it is a 2-parter. Daria, how did you get started sharing your fiction publicly, whether that was No Sleep or something earlier? And what advice you have for someone who might be a writer or wanting to be a writer, but they're very shy about putting their work into the world?
I think the first time I did it, I was like 15 or 16, and there was some writers forum type thing, and it was like young writers forum or something, and it was really big, and there was like posts that would get a lot of feedback, and I posted there once, and everyone just told me it was terrible what I posted, because obviously that was like the first thing I ever posted. And then I was just like, oh no, this is horrible, I'll never write again, whatever, and I disappeared for a long time. I think when I was 19, I had a pretty successful poetry blog on Tumblr, and then I deleted that.
Oh,
And it's scary. Like when I first posted on No Sleep, it was when I was getting frustrated on working on a longer piece of fiction. I was trying to do NaNoWriMo. I don't know if people actually read abbreviations like that, or you're supposed to say the whole thing. Anyway, and I got really frustrated, and I just like, I don't want to write this anymore. I'm just gonna write a Reddit story instead. And my first story is still to this day my most successful story. It's the most infuriating thing, the least effort, the least, like, it was just a throwaway. I mean, it's
is
my
it
most
the
successful story.
I'm the Only Woman?
Yeah,
Yes, I love that one.
that
Though.
piece
That's
of
such a
crap.
good story. No,
Yeah,
it's so
Daria,
good.
that is a good. It makes me sad to hear you did not like that.
That one is a
I-
classic. It's got more than, I'm sure, 10,000 at this point, maybe 15,000 upvotes. It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay, thank
that is
you.
how I discovered you during the pandemic, back before I was even a No Sleep writer myself.
See, you're inspiring the youth of today, like Ryan.
Oh, no,
I think
that's absolutely no joke, Daria. I believe, and we've only talked a handful of times ever,
Yeah.
but like it was pretty strange to me because I remember folks like you and Sergeant Dar, one Grand Theft Auto. Now he's Travis. He's just a normal person now. You got your stories blew my mind so much, and I loved them so much that you're probably in the 5 people that are responsible for me punishing the world with my fiction. And I respect if you don't love the IT story, but that was one of the things that caught my attention, and I said that's really good, and I think I could do something like that. So I don't know, you may not have
Wow.
loved it, but it was a as far as my writing career on Reddit goes, it was a pretty seminal piece of work.
One of I think the first story that I ever read of yours was the Cam Girl story.
I have
And
no idea anyone here read anything except Travis, because we go like way back. We know each other from the beginning. But
Oh,
wow, sorry, please. I
no.
don't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
I mean, I haven't been on here for that long, or on Reddit for that long. But I remember thinking that was like one of the first stories where I was like, wow, okay, you can get away with talking about like something that's a little more blue than your normal horror story, and like get a little, I don't know,
Got a few of
interesting.
those. Got a few
It's
of
not like
those.
the most NSFW story, but it was like the subject matter being what it was, I don't know.
I thought it was a great example of tactful angling in that story. Clearly, it was a blue story, but I thought you wrote it in such a way where that was not the focus. And so it was very smart writing to me.
So sort of
Wow,
fish
thanks so
story,
much.
but
Yeah, thanks so much, because I had no idea. I'm like really humbled now. And I didn't answer the question. The question was what, like, people who are shy or scared to post. What, sweetie? What's wrong? Okay. This is so frustrating. Okay, you should just go for it. Reddit is like the best place to post. Out of all the writing communities I've ever been in, it's the most where people, they're not going to tear you apart for something technical. They're not going to be like, oh, well, this plot line is a little bit weak. Like, oh. Like, no, people either love it or, if they'll comment something stupid, if it's out of character, it gets removed. It's wonderful. It's just like a safe little bubble where you can post whatever you want. And you should just totally go for it, because you might be surprised. You might think a lot less of yourself than others will. So I'm going to bow out for a second. Just 1 second, guys.
Yeah, go for
Sorry.
Take all the time you need to.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, guys, and we'll exclude present company because Travis, you had a good week. Deco, you're the modern day Kafka. What have you guys been reading this week on Reddit that you thought was really good? What's jumped out at you?
Ooh. I said, other than your story, and I think maybe something Hawaiian Shirt put up, and then actually one Papa put up not too long ago on TCC. I think those might have been the only 3 that I read this week. on Reddit. I've been very slow rolling that. I just finished. You might have seen the trailer for it. So there's a movie coming out from it's Shyamalan, and it's called Knock at the Cabin. So the book that it's based on is called The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul. I think it's pronounced Tremblay. Fantastic.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
what that's based on?
Yeah, it is. It's based on that.
Holy
And
cow.
it's funny because I didn't know they were making it a movie, and I finished Cabin at the End of the World maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. Just finished it, and right before that, I read his other book, Head Full of Ghosts, and he has several, but those are 2 just fantastic ones, and I plan on reading the rest. But anyways, and then fast forward to like yesterday, the day before, there's now a trailer out for the adaptation of his book, and Shyamalan is directing it, and it's got Dave Bautista as one of the lead roles. And I'm just like, that I'm so hyped now for that. That is way up on my list, and it's a really amazing book. It's got a controversial ending. I personally thought it was perfectly fitting, but I'm super curious to see if they keep it the same, or if Shyamalan's it, or how all that goes.
I read Psychic Nerve on No Sleep for the first time in a while, and I was excited to see that.
Yes,
I
sir.
posted one recently and got up in like 2000 or something.
Yeah, hit the top of the day. Actually, Cy had he posted that the night after I posted. Lord, I cannot remember the first story I posted this week. But Cy actually reached out. We hadn't talked in a while, and he said, "Hey man, your story is doing pretty well." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, you've inspired me to go ahead and take a swing tonight." And I was like, "Man, go, come eat my lunch." And eat my lunch he did.
Oh wow.
He sent me the proof of the story. He had just finished it. So Cy, if you're watching, man, chef's kiss. That story was beautiful and disturbing, and I loved it so very much.
And that's right. You had 2 bangers this week, Ryan. And it's neat on No Sleep. I've noticed the past couple months, the upvotes had been sort of dropping for a while, and it seemed like traffic was going down. Definitely seems to be going up again. We saw, I think, Greta break like 5,000 this week.
5,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're at least like 3.5 or so.
Yeah.
Wait, Trip, Ryan, how many upvotes did you get on that literary title story?
Actually, man, and I try. You guys know I have the world's most fantastic case of imposter syndrome, but I thought to answer your question directly, it hit 3,000 about an hour ago, and it kind of blew my mind because you guys can go back and see. I'm a clickbait title guy. I don't like it. And it's not a shot to anybody that enjoys clickbait titles, because they are very effective. And I feel like in the Reddit format, unfortunately, I feel like it makes sense. You have to get some buy-in. And I'll throw Travis under the bus, and I feel like I talk about this story every week. So, man, sorry, I'm a little bit of a creeper about this story. But when I was going to put it out, it's one of the few stories I've written lately where I finished it and I said, I'm pleased with this. I like this story. And so when I was going to put it out, I thought, man, I can't get this clickbait title. I cannot put, my dad had a stroke and I take care of him. Something's gone wrong. Like it felt so, I don't know, it felt disingenuous. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to chalk this one up as a loss. I'm going to Maria on the Moon this. It's going to have the title that I wanted to have. So I just tossed it out there, and it was just really pleasing to see a story that did not, in my opinion, it did not have a title that caught your attention, and I did not have a first 100-word hook. So I was shocked that it was a success, but if there was a story that I've had probably all together on Reddit, man, I'm glad it's that one. It was a good week, felt good.
I'm gonna disagree slightly, only in that I think the title does catch people's attention. It's a very good title, and for those who don't remember what we're talking about or didn't hear us say it, the title is, what was it? She Came to Me Blanketed in the Stars, or She Will Come to Me Blanketed in the Stars. And yeah, but it just hit 3,000. Now Ryan's other story this week, which he posted like 2 days before that, is already at 3.4 thousand. So he's just going through them. He would be top of the week, except for, of course, anytime Greta shows up. It's like
Oh,
when
yeah.
Hussein Bolt runs against, it doesn't matter how fast the other guys are. Like there's some world-class athletes there. He always wins. So we don't even count that. We just count the rest of us.
You can't beat Greta. She is the eater of lunches. It's just how it happens. And in fact, Daria, you and Greta and Travis, you guys are all people that are on my don't post against list. So when you guys put something out, I just know that day is already a wash. Don't put anything up. You're going to get swallowed by greatness.
I definitely avoid and have for many years. It's a proud tradition, avoid posting against Daria, because I think the only 2 or 3 times it's happened, she's absolutely crushed me. We had for a while, like 2 years ago, trying to figure out who would get to, I think, 2,000 subs first. And she wasn't even posting that much at the time. And of course, she decided to compete and then crush me there as well. So anytime
That was
Daria shows up,
crazy. That was so crazy.
you got like
That was my
800 in like
dollhouse.
days.
I got 800 in a day.
Yeah.
It was the dollhouse story. Like the first
Holy
part
cow.
really, really hooked people, and then they hated the second part at the end. But like the first part really got people into it. And yeah, I'd never seen such growth. I was like, and then the second time I was competing with you, like nothing ever came of it, but like the second time I was competing with you, I don't think I beat you, but then I had like movie people reach out on that series.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anything will ever come of that.
Which
It's
I
like,
count as beating me there as well.
but like that was something that happened. I was like, wow. And they're like, wow, this concept is amazing. How did you come up with it? I'm like, literally just read Ian Reed or Ride or whatever his name is. He wrote Foe, got those vibes there, and then wanted to beat Travis. So that's how that happened. So that's still like also one of my worst stories.
They're like,
I'll
we
tell
hate
you-
Travis too. That's a great premise.
That's
What
how
about
most
you?
people, yeah.
Yeah, actually, the basis for this show is trying to get people on that don't like Travis, but we try to be as nice to him as possible.
It's
to make him feel
shockingly easy to
welcome.
find guests. It's all they're lined around the block.
Yeah,
It's
that's
terrible,
most
but
people, I think, like readers and writers both.
yeah,
It's a
and
very
moderators,
love-hate relationship.
producers,
Yeah.
Hollywood directors. It's just
Mhm.
Ryan's excellent story this week, though, gave me a good question, I think, Daria, for you, is how do you feel about clickbait titles on No Sleep? Not just whether you like them or dislike them. Do you think they're effective? Do you think that there are other ways to get attention? I've always personally thought that they're a good boost to most stories, but just coming up with an interesting and unique one can get there. But it also helps if you have a built-in following, because I think, as all 4 of us know, at least, and probably a lot of people watching, those first 2 hours are so critical to getting something noticed. But anyway, so Daria, how do you feel just in general about clickbait titles?
I think there are 2 different types of clickbait on No Sleep. There are like really catchy titles like Need to Town Jam with her Fuck 2020. That was brilliant. And that's a clickbait title. You can tell me what you want. That's super clickbait. It's short, but it's clickbait. And then there's the ones like you described, Brian, like, oh, my dad had a stroke, something awful. Like it was like 3 lines of descriptive nonsense. And so I don't like those super elaborate ones. And when I have used them in the past, which I have a while ago, I've always like when I posted to my master list of stories, like I shortened it or I changed the title because I hate those. But I can see why people use them if you want your stuff read. Honestly, I don't think it's a big deal either way. If the story's good, who like cares? But I love literary titles and I love the title to your story. I haven't read it yet just because I don't have much free time right now, but I will today.
No pressure at all.
No,
It'll
because
be
it's
there.
gotten such
It'll be
good
there.
praise. I have to read it now. It sounds amazing already.
Well,
To let No Sleep vet it first. She's like, well, let me let everyone read it. And if they like it, I'll read
Yes,
it.
yes,
no,
please
the
send me the
awards afterwards.
curated.
You're one of my
Curated
no
list.
sleep heroes. Don't read it because if you don't like it, it'll crush me as a person. And I will have to
Oh,
recover.
yeah, this is it's secretly an ambush Daria fan club.
It really
you know,
is. We
coming
meet
in.
weekly.
Yeah.
We meet weekly.
You guys, you're so sweet. Ryan, I'm sure I'll love it. I
Oh, well.
I actually did read a little bit because I was gonna come in all informed about everybody. Like I'd read everyone's stories, but then I like watched the Dahmer series instead on Netflix. I'm so sorry. I will
Hey,
read your
no.
story. I will write
got-
into your guys' comment. I'm a horrible person.
Oh, Daria, don't. Oh, see, now I'm nervous. I was fine. The other
No,
3,000
no,
people,
no.
that was fine. Now Daria's reading it.
Don't be
The one
Just
that
don't
silly.
ever
counts.
read it. Just assume it's good and go on with your life. It'll be okay.
I'm
Well,
sure it's amazing.
Well, Daria, I have a question for you, and I had a different question ready, but first, what I'm going to do is ask Hawaiian Shirt's question. We had a question come up for you in chat, and it is from
Okay.
a Hawaiian Shirt, and Hawaiian asks, Daria, what is your favorite story amongst the ones you've written?
That's so hard. That changes all the time. Because like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I wrote that really well, or oh, that was the most meaningful. Why did I not prepare? That's such a basic question. Hawaiian Shirt, that was a very good question. Hang on, let me think. I guess. I don't know.
I get into categories, you know. What's your
If
best?
I'm like,
What's your best plot? What's your best twist? What's your best whatever?
But it's the
Best
criminal
twist.
profiler.
It's a
yeah,
process.
criminal profiler. I think I was pretty proud of that one. Maybe. Oh my God, why am I so bad at this? This is terrible. This
What
is
do
a very
you-
basic question.
What do you think is your best title?
Oh.
Since we were just talking about. Oh wait, no. Okay, you've got one.
Oh,
All
my
right.
favorite title is Order a Dick, TM. That whole story was born from a conversation with Max Voynich. And you don't need to know that conversation, but yeah, I love that title. That's my favorite title. My favorite story, I guess. I don't have one. The problem is I write rarely. And when I do, it's like the super emotional process. Like I put a lot of myself into all my work. And because of that, like I love every story in a different way. And I hate every story in a different way. Like it's like reading a journal. So you find all the stuff you hate and you find all the stuff you love. So I really can't pinpoint one story, unfortunately, which is stupid and ridiculous. I'm sorry. Sorry.
No,
Hawaiian
I don't
Shirt.
think it is at all. I think it's kind of a weird, not that I don't think people can answer this, but I think it's a weird headspace to live in to say like, oh, this is my favorite story, because it almost sounds self-indulgent. And Hawaiian, don't get me wrong, man, I completely understand the question. And I do have a favorite story of mine I've written, but I also don't tell people what it is because I'm like, oh, that sounds like the ultimate dick move to be like, well, you're talking about my fiction. Let me tell you about this little ditty here. It's a weird thing to say, even if you do have an answer. I kind of feel bad answering the question.
And it's tough too, because sometimes your favorite story, like you said, changes, or it's not what you feel is the best one you've written. I think that I've written some that are stronger from a very practical sense than some of the ones that are my favorites. I can think of one of mine that I wrote like when I first started No Sleep that I really like, but looking at it now, I'm like, this was not well written. This was very poorly done and executed. The pacing's terrible. The word choice is self-indulgent, but it's like, I still I enjoyed the story because it was an idea that I was thinking about a lot of the time. So those are tricky, but I think you gave a very good explanation, Daria, for why.
Agreed.
It's hard to pick just one.
All right, so
do you have
Daria.
one? Wait, no, Deco was quiet. He has one. What's your favorite?
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like I don't really read that much horror outside of Reddit. And so to like one of my horror stories is sort of weird. I think that I have like horror stories that I think are effective at doing what they're supposed to do. But I've said again and again when asked this question that I think that one of my favorite short scary stories was Gristle for Mutton because it made me happy. Like I just like the relationship between a mother and a daughter LARPing in a zombie apocalypse. But I don't know.
You've done better than everyone else. You've given us a story. That's all people want.
Yeah,
They just
but
want to
not a
read
no sleep
something.
story. I picked one of the 180 short scary stories, whatever that I've
All right, Daria. So you've told us that your most successful story, the IT story, was not your favorite, and I accept that for a
It
long
should have,
time.
clearly.
No, and it's a
I
great story.
actually got comments on that one, which made me like, they're like, the story sounds like it's written by a female version of an incel. I was so hurt by that because it's based on
Wow.
my job. It's based on real stuff. I was like, you asshole. And ever since then I reread and I'm like, oh man, he has a point. There are parts that are a bit like weird. And like since then the story has not been the same for me. So
I mean, understandable. It's I don't know, those weird comments kind of hit you sideways sometimes. I can understand that. But your most popular story is not your favorite story. So if you, what story have you written? It doesn't have to be your favorite. What story did you write that you feel like deserves to be your most popular story? And I also have a follow-up question.
Deserves.
Or
I
prefer,
guess
whatever you want to go with.
if I could choose like one top story. Which one was, I guess in terms of I'm a pantser, but this one I really kind of thought everything through. I did like a lot of, like I had a little board on the wall where it's like, okay, this character goes here, there. Like I actually did some stuff, and that was the criminal profiler series. So I actually feel bad that I should have just written that and held off because I was posting head to head. Me and Sam Haysom, we had like a chat going when he's gonna post his and when I'm gonna post mine, and we were just. And then there was also, Girl from the Crypt. There was like so much going on, like right then, that it wasn't able. It did well. It did well every time I posted, but I think if it would have been a more mellow time, it would have blown up a bit more because it was well put together. Like I did have coherent plot lines there. So.
Well, I feel like that story was kind of slogging it out too when the metrics were a little bit crazy. The upvotes were extremely high. So yeah, I can see that. My follow-up question is this, and maybe you have, Daria, and if you have, I apologize, but it's also a great time to plug it. If you could take any one of your stories or your series and convert it into a novel, which one would you pick?
I feel like I went a bit wrong with the Dollhouse, and I would love to rewrite that as a novel because I love the character Lou. Any one of my series, honestly. I feel like I start series really strong and I have like a really good concept for a world, but then because it's Reddit and because I don't like write it ahead of time and edit and then like post a whole thing, like it slowly gets worse and worse and worse, and then the ending sucks. And so any one of my series, really, I think if I really did the work down the line, they could be pretty good because the concepts are there. It's just the execution that struggles.
I disagree about the decline in quality, but I will tell you this. If you are ever taking requests, I would love to see the criminal profiler turned into a novel. I'll buy a bunch of copies if you'll write.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see.
I got a question. When do you decide when to make something a series or not? Like I don't know the word count of your stories. I just know I've been reading them on my computer today, which is foreign for me. And so I know how long they look on a computer, but like I don't really have any concept of how long they are in terms of word count. But when do you know that something's going to be a series instead of a standalone?
Again, it just happens when I'm just writing, and I always have super vague concepts, and I think it's actually been hurting me because like No Sleep does well with like stories that are quick, to the point, have like a twist, have like something happen, give the reader the kind of like satisfying ending that they need. And I feel like as I'm writing and I'm pantsing it, I'm like, oh, but what if this happens? Oh, but what if like this dude shows up, or there's like this character? Oh, what about that? Like, and then I'm like, okay, it's a series. Like that. That's pretty much it.
Oh,
See, so many great answers. And Daria actually asked me, she's like, should I prepare anything for this? I was like, nah, we're all gonna wing it. It's gonna be
Terrible,
good.
terrible.
I don't think
Coming
that
at
anyone's
you.
prepared for this at all.
No,
Never.
never once. I have a question about the logistics of No Sleep. So we talked about some of the actual writing aspects, putting stories together. How important do you think all the other outside factors are? Things like we talked about the title, posting time, who you're posting against, how those top stories are doing. Because I've always been a big believer in the science of No Sleep, that there's sort of a rhythm to it, or even a formula. And not everyone agrees with me. I do think that there's some broad categories where you usually wait for a popular story to start aging a little bit. But how much attention do you pay to that kind of stuff? And how much is it just like, this is a good story, this is a good title, I'm just going to toss it out there, whether it's Sam posting or Girl from the Crypt or a G Trip, what do you think about that kind of stuff? So I love your new background, and your little assistant seems very helpful.
Can you give me a too long didn't read version of your question?
I know, I just rambled for that one a little bit. Okay. How much do you think about, the non-writing part of posting to No Sleep?
The strategy, like when
The
you post.
strategy, the dealing with competition, looking for windows, that kind of stuff.
So when I started, I obviously didn't know anything about that. And then like I had the hit, and then everything else was flopping. I was like, what is going on? And then either Travis or someone was like, hey, there's like posting windows. I'm like, what? Excuse me, there's a method to this. And yes, there is a method. You have to make sure the top posts or the top 2 posts are older. And since then I haven't looked back. Like if I see a story that's doing well and it's a new story, I'm just like, no, today's not the day for me to post. I'm very strategic, and I am subscribed to all my competitors. So if they're posting something, I know about it, and I have gambled. Travis knows that there are some other prominent writers that I've gone up against because I thought I could beat them, and I did.
Over and over and over.
Yeah, I do get a bit of that sometimes, but not anymore. Like I haven't been posting for ages, and I'm not really that relevant anymore. So I would never do that now. I think I would get, I don't.
You say that,
but back in the day, I used to be a bit of people weren't happy with me posting over them.
It's funny that I've done the same thing where I've subscribed to, basically whenever I post around the same time as someone and they beat me, or I see that they've been blowing up a lot, I'll subscribe to them. And then that way, you can check. Well, I also check new. And if I see something like a Ryan or a Deco, or God forbid, a genuinely grim hit new, then I'm just gonna, cool my jets for the next 18 hours. There's just no need to do it. So interesting how much competition has evolved, because you really do get used to kind of keeping an eye out for for those no sleep sharks, especially if someone's got a big series going. I don't think it happens as much now as back in our day, Daria, but it used to be once you land like the part one of a series, if it does super well, you just no sleep is yours basically for as long as you're pumping out the series. I remember when Girl from the Crypt had like a 30-day run of just you remember like the month of the Crypt, like you had to wait for her first post.
I still have I have like a whole conspiracy theory about Girl from the Crypt. I believe she's one of us. I believe it's a guy pretending to be an 18-year-old girl.
But it's right.
Or however.
No, I like that. And I think that you should pull that thread.
Write a
I
note
think
with
it's-
a meta post. You can call it I don't know, guy from the crypt.
I think I know who it is. It's someone that disappeared, and the strategy behind how they post. I won't say more, but I have my suspicions because it's very like identity is very like veiled in mystery. And
Greta, I'm sorry,
Greta,
I'm used to having Greta here. Daria,
Goodness.
I will pour fuel on that fire. There is and I will not say who it was because they did ask me for confidence on this, but I recently reached out for professional reasons. It's not Girl from the Crypt. It's not, I promise you that. But I did recently, for professional reasons, reach out to another no sleep writer. It was a professional courtesy for some stolen work. And so I just said, hey, we haven't talked in a while. I just wanted to let you know, even though you're not active anymore, that one of your very, very popular stories has been stolen. And this person said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm going to get on that. And so at that point I said, well, I haven't talked to you in like 3 months. What's going on? Where have you been? And they said, oh, I'm so-and-so. And this other username is a massive name on No Sleep right now. And
I think I might know who you're talking about.
I'm checking now.
It's no, guys, not like at this moment. You're not going to log on and see their story at the top.
I think we know him. We know him, Travis.
I'm sure that if it's one of the older,
older. Think about all the people who've been doing a rebrand lately.
Yeah,
and I love you guys to death, but I assured them that I would not.
No, don't worry.
I wouldn't share. But it did blow my mind because when I go back and read stories from their old account, their new stories they don't read that way. And so it's not just that they rebranded, it is that they were always a great writer, but they have changed their style almost completely. There are hints that you can see, but I'm just saying, Daria, I don't know that you're that far off. Girl from the Crypt could be a guy from the Crypt, like Deco said. We don't know.
I still suspect Travis of being this one account that won the monthly in like December, I think, of the year I started posting.
I don't think the only.
No. It's the only story they ever posted.
I want to hear the conspiracy theories.
I have a lot.
That's what
Luckily, nothing about like vaccines or anything. All my conspiracy theories are about people on the internet.
Well, now I gotta look because I will. I'll freely.
None of us are vaccinated, right?
It gives you 5G.
No, I hope we're all.
It's just saline water.
I just had to clarify because nowadays, if you say you're a conspiracy theorist, people think you're like stupid. And like, no, like I have vaccines.
Well, no. I mean, like Shamdemic and all that.
Yeah, it changed everything. What was it? It's like the Red Forest or something. And they.
Okay, Travis, I've got a question for everybody, just by a show of hands. Who here has another account that you have posted from and found success? Anybody?
Well, just on one, and I was part of it was a group actually. There were 4 of us. Daria, at least one of the others, and then one was actually a home friend of mine, and the other one was a no sleep writer who just a wonderful flash in the pan, was only here for a couple of months. But the 4 of us got together and did a round robin where like one person would write a couple paragraphs, and then the next person down would do it. It's just this fun, goofy thing, and I think it's sitting at like 6,000 upvotes, and it was the only story ever posted on that account. I don't remember if it won anything because
Is it the one about the Day of the Dead or something? Yes. No? What was it called?
Oh wait, are you thinking of the makeup artist one?
Yeah.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me. I have no idea who that
Who
was.
is that?
But they
Do you
only
know who
did.
it was? It has to be somebody we know.
I was gonna say because they only did a couple. I think maybe 1 or 2 on that account. Yeah, that wasn't
They
me.
did one. They did one. That was you.
No,
don't
I
think
can't
it's
claim
you.
that one. But it is funny.
Why are you turning red?
I agree. Well, me.
Yeah.
It's probably because I can't remember if I told you. I just got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is super
Oh my
exciting.
God.
So yeah, it's probably my
Oh my
blood sugar
God.
is either a little low or a little high, but I feel
That's so
good.
messed up.
It's been exciting
That's so
and just trying to figure out like the seesaw of like, okay, I had dinner, so now I have to do a little bit of ice cream. Now I have to do a little bit of insulin. But if you give yourself
Yeah.
too much, then it falls through the floor and you do have to have ice cream or something. So it's this interesting little balance. But it's the silver lining is it's got me eating the best I ever have in my life. It's got me going to the gym every single morning. Like you can either be bummed about it or be like, I'm gonna kick its ass. So I'm on trying to kick its ass right now. But I'm actually gonna pop down a second and check and see where I'm at. Blood sugar wise. I hope that Girl from the Crypt is watching or whomever maybe is running that account. I do agree with you that I think that I don't know about that specific one. I personally think that Girl from the Crypt is Girl from the Crypt, but I do know that some of our old buddies have multiple alts. I think that Max Voynich has a bunch of alts that do really well. And for anyone who's not familiar with Max's work, he is probably my pick as the most like just overall talented writer that's ever popped into No Sleep. As much as I adore all of you, I think that Max is just like he's special, and he decided to stop posting No Sleep under his main account. And he'll get like a master's in words and writing or whatever he did. But I think that he and a few of the other old crew probably pop up every now and then on alts. But I'll be right back.
Oh, take your time. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, while Travis is gone, we will take a question from the chat. And Hawaiian Shirt has hit us with question number 2 for the night. So let's start with our guest, Daria. Daria, what is your favorite horror movie? Scary movie?
The Poughkeepsie tapes.
Really? Found footage. You are no, don't hang your head in shame.
That looks a really effed up movie. It's a really bad
No,
movie.
I think there are a lot of really good found footage movies. That's pretty wild. Poughkeepsie tapes. Deco, what about you?
I don't know. I'm boring. I feel like the Exorcist hit me at a good time to be impactful. And so I'm probably there. I've also I think I've said on this stream before that my maybe it was after the stream concluded, but the scariest thing that I've ever seen, I think on film, was a copy of The Hills Have Eyes that was damaged, and so it skipped around a lot. And so it went from happy camping trip to lost dog to kill people sexual assault, and in a very quick succession without any sort of context in between. And that was disturbing. So if there's any Hollywood people watching, I know we're talking about Girl from the Crypt or Voynich or whoever watching this, but forget the plot, guys. What are you doing? No one cares anymore. Just make something horrifying.
No, and that was a great conversation. Actually, that was last week after we ended the stream. We were on talking to Jesse or Hawaiian Shirt. So Hawaiian, you kind of get to hear all the same stuff again to the question that you just asked. But no, the description of that bootleg DVD you bought, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And for me, Hawaiian, just to give you the same answer that you've received again, but I've decided to expand on it a little bit, and then we will move on to something more interesting. My favorite horror movie is a cliche, but I love Halloween by John Carpenter. I think it's a classic. And Deco and I kind of discussed the art or lack thereof of the slasher film. And what I love about Halloween is it existed in a time when people accepted simple movies. Things did not need to be overcomplicated. You didn't need 30 years of backstory for something to make it meaningful. Michael Myers, to me, is the epitome of a fantastic horror antagonist. And it's because he is so simplistic, you don't need to overcomplicate him. And in fact, in the movie, and so you guys don't think I'm completely crazy and have memorized this, Dr. Loomis was Michael Myers' psychiatrist in Halloween. And when they asked him about Michael, he said, I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. There was no reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met the 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. They were the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized what was living inside this boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. That was all the explanation that you needed for Mike Myers. He is just evil. He is devoid of humanity. He's evil. And to expand on things, because I really spent a considerable amount of time trying to sell Deco on the Halloween franchise itself. And if you have watched the new movies that have come out, I believe Paramount Plus has them, or no, I'm sorry, it's Peacock. The extended versions, or I'm sorry, the continuation of the old franchise. You've spent all these years thinking that Michael Myers is obsessed with Laurie Strode and that she is his singular target. And in Halloween Kills, when he has the opportunity to kill her and somebody else, he doesn't care. He kills the other person. Laurie has never been important. She was just there. She was in his way at the time, and it was convenient. But he's never hunted her. He didn't care. Michael Myers is just the personification of evil. There's nothing good to him. There's no humanity. There's no right or wrong. He's to feed into Travis's love for D&D, man, this guy is just absolute chaotic evil. It's just whatever he can get his hands on. So anyway, to dominate the conversation, Halloween is my favorite horror movie.
Well, that's not what we're talking about, though, Travis. The question was, what horror movie would you most like to see adapted to a children's book?
Oh, that's fantastic. And at least kind of on the same topic, because I thought it was going to be like, what is your favorite pizza topic? And Ryan's like, let me really tell you about the personification of evil. Speaking of the personification of evil, I don't know what I missed, but I forgot that we haven't done a reading. And I was going to suggest one of Daria's short, scary stories, if Daria is okay with it. And I even found one.
Which one?
My Special Day, which is your top, that is your top rated short, scary story.
Are you going to read it?
If you don't mind, unless someone else would like to.
No, man, go crazy.
Okay. I know I don't have Tom Deco has really been setting the bar high. One time he had a candle that he held, so it was like a flickery. Are you afraid of the dark?
Why are you making me feel so left out now like that?
So
Okay.
that is fantastic. I am going to turn the lights off in my room. Hold on.
Thank you.
He doesn't have a candle, but he's going to turn on a
Yes.
flashlight.
Gosh, hold on. I do have a several flashlights. Oh wait, I've got something even better.
Welcome to our highbrow quality production value here, folks. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining us
Also-
at midnight all day.
Oh, this is creepy because now if I see something pop up behind me in the screen, I've seen this movie before. and it wasn't a good one. But
Okay,
I do
I'm gonna try
have,
to complete the effect here. I'm gonna turn off my camera and let it just be black all
I
around.
don't like any part of this actually. But like I brought
Ryan, come back. What is this? I don't come back.
it's
You wanna
very,
see
it's
your
okay.
face.
I've got a camping lantern, which just looks like a beautiful glow.
This is not really relevant to the story. It's not even that scary, the story. It's just like
Wow.
sad and dark.
I'm already scared. Okay, if everyone's ready. I'll get a little sip of my can of caffeinated water.
Is Tom drawing the black clothes? Perfect. Okay. I'm super bright and shiny and sunny. So.
It's the worst kind of horror when you can see everything coming.
Wow.
Daylight horror is very scary. We saw that in Midsummer. But anyways, dear listeners, tonight we have a special tale. So special, in fact, that word is in the title. The story is called My Special Day, and it's posted by you_Dar 3 months ago.
2 months ago. What? I really
Today.
don't post.
I can understand why narrators lock themselves in soundproof sheds so that they can actually record. All right, my special day. Today is my day. I wake up with slight trembles running through my legs. Taking care not to stumble, I get up from my bed and walk over to the mirror. I pull out my beauty satchel and lay out the different hairbrushes. One for detangling, one for brushing, a third for shine. Handcrafted by my father for my sisters and I to use. It's no joke when you've got a head of hair like mine. Each strand carried from the day of birth, never cut, trimmed, or altered. I start with the detangler. Today is my day. The excitement I feel is numbing. I've known this day would come from the moment I could speak, but it never felt quite real. I don't know why the trembles have turned to shakes. Who knew noble bliss could have such a physical toll on my body? My face is pale and sickly, so I apply the red powder gifted me the night before. The artificial color is not as beautiful as my natural blush, and I am saddened to think I won't look my best today. Today is my day. I murmur the songs of my people under my breath as I stroke the old doll in my lap. I think of my last sister holding the same toy on her day, and the sister before her. I just know on their days they had seemed a lot more mature than I feel. Silent tears fall on the fabric of the wooden doll's dress, and I start to gasp for air. The honor is too great. Like them, I am chosen. Today is my day. The elders come in, followed by men in robes who tie my wrists and ankles. I am led out to the main congregation area. The people of my village cheer and rejoice, falling to their knees as they praise the leader as he speaks. Today is Abiyami's 10th birthday. It is her special day. He announces as the robed men lift me and place me on the concrete slab at the center of the ceremony. Today she gifts us the blood from her body to help our community heal from the curses placed upon us, to help rid us of the sickness and evil inflicted on our people. Bless thee, Abomi. Bless thee, Abomi, my people chant back. I'm not supposed to, but I crane my neck to sneak one last peek. My mother's in the front row, head bent low to the ground in prayer. She lifts her gaze for an instant, and I see that red veins of happiness stain her wide eyes. I close my own and embrace the blackness before me. Even though I cry through the closed lids, I am still so happy. Today is my special day. Terrifying. And I believe that Netflix ripped off your story for the new Devil in Ohio series.
I have not started watching that yet, but I don't think they could have ripped it off since I posted it 3 months ago.
You never know with them.
Never
Netflix
do.
actually invented time travel, Daria. I don't know if anybody told you that.
Wow.
No, exactly.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's a very sophisticated setup. They've stolen things you have not yet written. You're going to be really sad when you find out in 2032 that you wrote Stranger Things.
Yeah. gonna come back to bite you.
I would write Stranger Things.
You would, and it's
Just
great, and
worse.
I love it, and I
They would
thank you
improve
for
on
it. Damn Duffer Brothers.
You're going to be pretty nonplussed in 4 years when Disney says that they wrote all of your stuff first.
Oh yeah, they're coming.
Mhm.
Mouse. But I like
Disney
that
are
story.
scary. Thank you.
It's a
I
good
like
story. I enjoyed it. I've actually not read that one, so that was really fun to experience for the first time.
That one was actually based. I listened to Mr. Ballin. I don't know if you guys know that person. It's just like he reads a bunch of like real life horror story stuff. He's pretty big actually on YouTube, and now he has a podcast. And there was one about child sacrifice in Africa. And like before I heard that, I had no idea that it was so widespread. And so I kind of just like imagined the character. I was like, oh, this is really horrifying as it is. Like they kill kids and like people lose their kids. And I was like, oh, what if that, but everyone also treats it as like a blessing. What about that? That's how I wrote that.
I think
Do I get to read a story? Oh, sorry, please continue. I'm terrible.
Did you want
I was,
to?
I was going to say, I think I've only ever read one other human sacrifice story on Short Scary Stories. I know you guys are like, the rest of you guys are bigger in No Sleep. I feel like I spent a lot of time not reading No Sleep and reading Short Scary Stories instead.
It's kind of where you
That
live.
was my
It makes
competition
sense.
for a while. Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like that's ripe territory. Anyone who wants to write a short scary story, human sacrifice, do another twist on it.
It's good
Yeah.
to know. I can't ever write short, scary stories well, so it's good advice.
Well, just right now, you ask Lightning Nations to send you a draft of something first, and then you post it before. So
I respect that, Lightning. I'm coming for you, man. Or
Yeah.
woman. I don't really know.
Yeah,
He's
lightning.
we all know he's the one who used to be as someone else, right? Like, no one told me. I just recognized the avatar. He uses the same avatar every day.
Yeah, the
I
Vegito.
haven't been along. I
Yeah,
haven't been
like I
around
know the
long
guy.
enough to
I know
know.
the guy. Like,
Yep.
So who's
That's-
Lightning Nation, or is it a secret?
I don't think it's a secret because I've seen him use the other
it's not a
account
secret.
too.
Yeah. It's not like I just came back after like half a year of not being. I'm like, oh, okay, that's him as this now. Like,
Well,
okay.
you've got to understand, Daria. I've read for a long time, but I've only been writing since March. So I used to just be purely a creeper.
okay.
So
How about Deco? When did Deco start?
2001 March, like during pandemic is when I started. I don't know anything about No Sleep. Like I was in pen pals with 1,000 Vultures or whatever in the very beginning of
Wow.
No Sleep, like you guys.
Oh, you
I don't-
weren't? I thought.
I know we
No,
got some
I like-
fun by celebrity there, like 1,000.
No. I wasn't here for like the 2 years ago heyday where where everyone except for Malia Girl made their chops in the top spots.
Yeah, that was it was almost like every week or every 2 weeks there was a new 10K story coming out, at least like once a month. And then for a year or year and a half, like right in the pandemic up until probably this winter almost, when that wife peeking story from MG went up there. There weren't many 10K stories, and now we're seeing them again. And I think Greta might have just had one, and if it's not there yet, it's super
Are there 10K
close.
stories? Damn.
what was that, Deco?
I was going to say, are there 10K? I've been blind to No Sleep more or less for the past week.
I've got to tell you, Deco, actually, and I'm going to bring this up. We were talking earlier about the competition. Sorry to cut you off, man, but it's a fond memory of you back in our Scary Story collective days. And you and I had posted on the same day, and I remember we kind of broke the algorithm for about 4 or 5 hours. You and I kind of competed neck and neck.
Oh yeah, we had the
And,
same number of upvotes, like
yeah.
constantly for like 3 or 4 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah, for a really unusually long amount of time, nobody could win. And so we just kind of shot the shit all day and just said, man, like, who is gonna pull ahead in this? Because there was really no way to know, because I think we had posted within 20 minutes of each other, and we had both gotten to about 500 before it broke. And just to complicate things, I think Fainting Goat had no, it was definitely Fainting Goat had posted after we did, and so we were like, oh well, here's where it ends. Fainting Goat's gonna come
I feel like
in.
if you went back in Discord, you'd find me going, fuck Fainting Goat for today.
Well, actually, no, and I can't remember it, and we're not in the well, I'm not in the Scary Story collective anymore, but you wrote a delightful little piece about you and I sitting on top of the huge horns of a goat toasting each other, because we actually managed to stay ahead of Fainting Goat, which, no disrespect to Fainting Goat, man. Fainting writes some cool stuff. But Deco wrote this nice little kind of 75-word thing about he and I sitting on the edge of the wasteland on the horns of this massive goat toasting our success. Do you remember that at all, Deco? It was
I do actually. Yeah. Most of my little asides on Discord are completely ephemeral, and I forget them immediately.
fair enough.
I forget most of my stories immediately. So like, how could I ever remember? But I do remember that. I do remember talking about that, and I remember this competition because it was very strange.
No, it was a good day though, man. I enjoyed it. There were two very different stories, and it took us a larger part of the day to pull away from each other. I have no idea where the conversation was going, but I still fondly remember that little kind of 75-word story you wrote about you and I toasting the success from the top of the giant goat horns. So it's a good day.
I've got a question for Daria and Travis. What's your weirdest day on No Sleep? And Ryan, if you've got one that's different from the one we've just been talking about. What's your strangest,
please?
Weirdest
day? What could be the weirdest comment you
I
received?
have.
Oh. Okay.
Not the weirdest comment I ever received. It was just like, so Feathers in the Attic. I actually originally posted a completely different version of it 2 or maybe even 3 years ago now. And what happened was, like, I'd invested a lot and I was still new. I was like, oh my God, I poured my heart and soul into this like story. And I posted it and it was taking off. Like, it was actually taking off really well. It was in second place already back then. That was like, I didn't know about Windows, but back then second place like was hard to get to, because sometimes you'd have like the top 3 all over 1,000. That's not 3, Daria, that's 3. Okay. So it was like, it was getting up there, and I was so happy because I'd posted it on my birthday, because I was like, this is a gift to me. This is the best thing I've ever freaking written. This is gonna make my day. I really needed this. And then I just watch it pretty much like unwind. Something was going on with the system. It crashed a little bit later, but like I would refresh and my uploads would jump from like, it was like at 100, then it would be like 60, and then it would be like 30. And it was like going sporadic. In the end, it started getting downvoted. So like I had reached a certain amount and then I plummeted down, and I lost not only top, I don't think I even broke the top 5. And that was devastating. And I ended up deleting, because I did post a few other parts, and then I just deleted the whole thing and I rewrote it years later. But that was really weird. Like, that was like, I was like, oh, Chinese bots are out to get me. This is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So
that's sometimes how those the tide goes in and out, and it's a mess. But I do think the downvoting it's not a recent phenomenon, but some days it's absolutely crazy. I don't know if it's bots or competition, popular writers having big fan bases. Which, speaking of GOAT, if you ever happen to watch this, do know that we're all fans and it's all in good
Oh, of
fun.
course.
Only reason
100%.
there would be any celebration of beating GOAT is because she is an institution, and was, I think, the only person that's had a series, the Surviving Camping, that just like
Yeah.
number one. I mean, Girl from the Crypt or whomever they secretly are, the Daria things, did have that nice month-long run, but I think that was 2 years.
So beyond well, you guys pay attention to upvotes a lot. I look at awards because I don't get a lot of upvotes. I write long stories and I get awards instead of upvotes. How to Survive Camping is the only one other than the original Search and Rescue that I've seen that has that weird 3-jeweled award that costs a lot of coins.
Yeah.
I know. Who is it? What's his name? Oh my God.
Mandark.
His name. Mandark.
Yeah, he's got one.
You got one?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're very rare.
They're they're like
Very much.
$80
Lord,
a pop or something.
You
Yeah,
hardly
you have to
see
spend a lot of
platinum
actual
anymore.
money. It's fucking weird.
Yes, sweetie. I have to finish, okay?
Freaking weird.
No, it's humbling to see gold these
Yes,
days.
there's more.
Yeah, I guess maybe because it's the Reddit started doing so much of the
Oh,
free awards.
It's gonna go, okay? Gonna go.
Our most adorable special guest.
Oh,
Bye. She's gonna have to be a
She wants to go to the beach.
Me too.
Uh,
That's cool.
no, me three. Daria, are you
Yeah.
taking all of us to the beach?
Beach trip. Oh, I gotta pick a good one.
I think you should.
the Mediterranean too. It's like
So
I've got
Travis,
Virginia Beach,
we're-
which is
Okay, sweetie,
Bye.
mommy's almost done. Mommy's working, okay?
I can go to the beach at the lake, Deco. I am very far from the shore.
yeah.
I'm right there. We
You
can
can swim
go.
in bourbon though, like the rest of us.
Come to Cyprus.
Well, no, Daria, I think you guys should all come to Kentucky and we will all swim in bourbon.
Okay. I do want to read a story though.
Okay.
I came prepared. I had to Google some words because
did you
Deco
pick?
just wanted to make me look stupid. Obviously.
It's one of Deco's stories. Ooh.
It's a very effed up one as well. It's brilliant. But
Oh my.
All right, I'm muting. I'm excited to hear this.
oh, right now? I thought we had more content. Wait. What? Okay, should I just
No,
read
we're
now?
just-
we're
Anything else?
doing whatever we want to do. This is probably the most free-flowing time we've had, so you live
Okay,
your
wait, I
life.
have to put her swimming costume on. I'll be back in a second and then.
Okay.
then I'll read it.
Well, Deco, we'll continue with your question. Travis, did you have a chance to answer?
For the
what your
weirdest day
wildest
on no
day was?
sleep.
Yeah.
Yes, that one is easy for me. That was when I posted, I think I might have Ryan told you this story before, at least part of it is Marie on the Moon, when I first posted it, and it was the story I cared about the most up to that point with my association with no sleep, and still probably is. So I put a lot of effort into it, and it was doing very well. I think it might have been top within 3 hours, and I was super hyped. And then I went to work that day. I remember checking on my lunch break, and it was gone, and it had been removed for violating there's a precarious balance of whether something has more horror or more tragedy or more comedy, whatever the formula is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
Still waiting no
tricky.
sleep on my whatever story.
Yeah. I think a lot of us who spent any amount of time posting there probably hit it at some point or another. And it's a tricky one. It's frustrating. I honestly do understand the purpose where you can't just, it's a horror subreddit, so you can't have lots of weird, erotic, romance stories that have like a skeleton in there, and they're like, oh, it's a horror story. But it was very frustrating because it was, I thought, a scary story that did have some harder parts in it. And I appealed the removal, and the moderators, or at least the one I spoke to, was very, very polite and professional, and allowed me to repost it with no changes, which was nice. But at that point, I'd already lost like 6 or 7 hours. So it was good that I could repost it, because at that point, all the momentum from the story is gone.
Oh, no, you didn't tell me you got to repost it. I thought they
Yes.
just put it back.
No, which is good, because of that, there's no way it would have died. It would have died an inglorious death. But because I could repost it, at least I had a second chance. But usually at that point, I would think that it's less viable, because people have already seen it that day and might not go back
Right.
to it.
Not going to toss it that second upvote.
Yeah, just getting that first one. I feel like we're all kind of like vaudeville performers, and you're doing our little somersaults, and we're like, please look at us, give me an upvote, give me an upvote. And then once you get the one and it gets removed and you repost, it's like, I'm not giving you another upvote for the same act. So I was upset, because I did really like the story. But actually, Goat was the one who, I think I was in a different Discord with them. And I mentioned that it was back up, and lo and behold, a platinum shows up. I'm sure she's just swimming in coins, like Scrooge McDuckian levels of with the
Oh,
awards.
no doubt. No doubt.
But it was such a nice thing, because I really was genuinely, the first time I think I was upset at No Sleep, and I think that got some extra eyeballs on it, her putting that plat on there. And then it did even better the second time than the first, by a huge margin, to the point where I was absolutely blown away. And the thing was, Deco, you mentioned not just looking at upvotes, but looking at awards, and then also comments, because back in the day, comments tended to be a lot. Well, there were a lot more of them. You don't see it quite as much now.
Yeah.
But due to the subject matter, a lot of people were just leaving comments that weren't not in character, but they weren't really even addressing the story. And it was a lot of folks talking about their own experiences with health issues within their families. And it was just such an overwhelming thing. And that was by far the weirdest day. And then I woke up the next day, and it had just tons of upvotes, but just still people talking to each other in the comment section. It was a really neat moment. It was something that I'll always, get to keep with me. I remember being just super sad that entire night, because it was based on some real stuff that had happened in my family, and actually having a lot of people share their own stories made it was nice. You don't feel as isolated when everyone's kind of going through it. So by far my weirdest, but probably best day on No Sleep.
Well, Travis, I'm going to play off you, man, and kind of go. And Daria, right, Matt, after I'm done, go ahead and do your reading, but we'll do something serious, then we'll apparently do something crazy right after that. But Deco, my second wildest day on No Sleep was the day you and I slugged it out for first place, man. It was a fun day. I loved the little story you wrote. It'll stick in my mind as a writing memory forever.
Was that?
But
So wait.
no, go ahead.
Was that the day that you wrote the kick game and I wrote It Shall Not Be Seen? So I remember those on the same day.
I'm almost positive that's what it was. And the kick game, and I'm not going to call anybody out here. And if you're watching, or if you ever watch this and you like the kick game, don't misunderstand me. It was a fun story. I liked writing it, but I wrote the kick game to prove a point. We were talking about, in fact, actually, to give Travis some credit here, we were talking about analytics, posting windows, making sure your title is formatted. And I was talking to another No Sleep writer, and I said, man, if I wanted to write a hit today, I could. And they said, no, you couldn't. And I said, no, I guarantee it, man. If you will meet me halfway, I will write a story that follows a certain format with a certain title, and it'll hit top. I won't like the story because it's not a story I really want to write, but I can write it and it'll hit top. And Simba Savage says, kick game, first story I ever read by G Trip. I'm surprised you stuck around. So I took the left-right game, and I said, if I take the words the blank game and then I write a story that just makes sense, it'll hit top today if I post it at the right time, and it did. And unfortunately for Deco, who wrote a substantially better story, But anyway, if you like the kit game, I did my best with it, but it was not a story I necessarily loved. But as far as my wildest day on No Sleep, or my most memorable day, was yesterday. And it was not because this story was a success. It wasn't because it went to the top. I got a lot of really meaningful comments, and some of the input from the people that read the story. And much like Travis, and this is why I said it led into, it leads off of what Travis was saying, Maria on the Moon being a personal thing to him. I had a tragedy with my parents as well. And so that kind of fed into where I wrote the story. She Will Come to Me, Blanketed in the Stars. And so when I put it out, it was, I did not think it would be read very much. So I didn't really think there would be much interaction to be had. But I got a lot of really touching comments on the story, things that kind of superseded having posted something on a horror-based subreddit. And one of the top ones, and I won't name them by name, but it just was a very, very touching thing for somebody. I shared a story, and then somebody shared something really personal with me via the comments. It was not a private chat, and it said, beautiful. I had just lost my only child, and he was 16. He loved stargazing, and I know he's watching over me now. Your story gave me a much needed peace. And so I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm a human that is nearly devoid of emotion, completely. I don't react to things. I don't emote a lot. I have the same voice tone, and this is my voice tone if I'm excited or if I'm pissed through the roof. But I never knew that somebody would leave a Reddit comment that would actually make me tear up, and to hear that anything that I ever wrote gave somebody peace was a really touching thing for me, actually, because you don't go into Reddit, and especially No Sleep, thinking that you're going to share a piece of your fiction and that it is going to touch anybody in a meaningful way and maybe even help them with something. So if the person who wrote that comment ever hears this, that meant a lot to me. Thank you for sharing that. That was an incredibly sweet thing. And I was not emotionally prepared for it. And so my wife got to watch tears run down my face. Super weird night. So I don't know. It was pretty wild. I was never emotionally prepared to have any kind of meaningful effect on somebody. And with Travis having written Maria on the Moon, which was really well received and a very touching piece, I can't imagine what your night was like with that, reading some of the comments. But some people hit me with some real stuff, and I had some really good conversations, and it was just a good night. So that's what I've got.
Nice.
Good question. All right, are we gonna hear Daria's rendition? And I'm sorry, could you tell us so this is one of whose stories? Deco?
What do you think? Yeah, of course.
And what was
Okay.
the title? Did you already?
Okay. Just making sure people can see I went away from my kid, so she doesn't have to hear this. Wait.
It's a horrible story. She told me what it was already.
That's
You have a
great.
really
Horrible
nice
story.
kitchen, by the way, Greta.
Oh yeah, I love
Oh,
that.
Good
Greta.
Lord, Daria, I'm sorry, I'm used to
Sweetie?
having Greta
Sweetie?
here.
She and
5
Greta
minutes
do kind of
still.
look alike too. Like I've almost
They resemble each other, but it's I don't know. You and Greta are both just these really good female No Sleep writers, and I don't know. I just keep getting sidetracked, so my apologies there. But you have a very nice kitchen, Daria. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not mine. It's a rental. But I keep it
Very
clean.
nice.
I'm the
It's
only one that
yours for
keeps it
now.
clean. So,
Mhm.
okay. Just wait. My dad is gonna go. Oh, you got your Burger King thing? You look great, sweetie. Okay, 5 more minutes. No, okay. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible mother. Like I feel bad. I was hoping she would be sleeping through all this. I feel terrible. Like she just wants to play. She's
Aw.
giving me death stares. Okay, but she's not in the room. You can see, so I don't get child protective services on my case.
I like that.
Deco, you're very, yeah. I love it though. Like, what does that say about me to love this? Okay. On Valentine's Day 2 space 022, I don't know if the space is intentional or just a typo. Sorry. Okay, I should just read. I read the room. Rule number 1, never double up on V-Day. February 15th is for mistresses. Huh, I thought, as I once more choked on my fingers and retched. What a strangely germane thing to find scrawled on a bathroom wall. Still, a bit too late. I retched again, retched and searched. Try as I might to find my wife's, well, unwife's, engagement ring in the sprawling puddle of regurgitated Jessica around me, I kept finding other mementos of our last meal together. It was distracting, a scallion that paired so nicely with her yoga-sculpted abs, a half-digested cremini mushroom that I had stuffed down her throat as the oven preheated. So succulent, such a waste to leave it all steeping in the uric grime of the bar bathroom floor. The ring could wait. I'd get my second chance at love. How often does one get a second chance at a last meal, though? So I stooped, anticipation shaking vigor into my prickling body. I slurped, I chewed, I savored, and I slurped again. Delectable. And then it hit me, the bile and the stomach acid, bitter and sharp. That's what had been missing from my Jessica aux champignons all along. I wouldn't make that same mistake again. Mental note, bile and, oh my God, divine mental, no. The grout between the tiles is like a reservoir for flavor. Must find mosaic plates with grout, noted. I laughed, I licked, I lingered. I followed the flavor across the floor into the corner. There, I found a plethora of spider husks, exoskeletons, if you're wanting to be all entomological about it. But as I plucked them from their webby bedding, they became so much more. Anatomical croutons, naturally selected to capture the scrumptious, sloshing, villous brine that washed over my culinary Xanadu. And then I saw it, the ring, and I remembered that Anna was still waiting at the bar, dressed in her tawdry Valentine's best. She'd be wanting dinner, I suspected, a proper V-Day stuffing. We'd made reservations next door, but after, well, what had she said about after? I want you to eat me like it's cheat day. What a firecracker. The least I could do would be to give her the excitement of a proposal in exchange. Me, down on one knee, her, elated, moaning bliss into dozens of gawking gorgers' ears, the second slowly ticking by alongside the syncopated rhythm of her fluttering heart. Seconds I would cherish. Fast forward to check, please. We sat in soft light as she admired the shuffling colors of her new bobo. She said yes, by the way. And as she measured the 4 C's, my mind slid into one S word, S-E. Exactly what I wanted. The girls at work are gonna freak. Baby, you have excellent taste. Mm-hmm. Speaking of, her stockinged foot caressed my flaccid, the children, beneath the table, and she raised an eyebrow. I hope you saved room for dessert. I needed her cough. I capped. I smiled. For a body like yours, Anna, I saved room for seconds.
Yay!
You're all welcome.
We're a family program here at Midnight All Day.
No, we're not. Not after that.
We didn't say it was a good family or a functional family.
No, people do get called into DCBS. I mean, there are different kinds of families.
Terrible.
I
Beautiful.
don't know if I even marked that story as NSFW on No Sleep.
You did.
Mhm.
Oh, I did?
Oh, no, you 100% did.
I really like the story.
Oh, Daria, that was fantastic.
It was yeah, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
It really was, but in a charming way.
Very charming.
I was in like a mod discussion at one point on 2-sentence horror, modding 2-sentence horror about what horror was, and someone threw up a Webster's definition of horror, and their Webster's definition of horror was something that inspires fear, disgust, or there's one other thing. Fuck, I can't remember. but disgust was one of them. And I remember taking that to heart, and I was like, horror can just be disgusting. It can be disgusting for disgusting's sake.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, if
can.
you think about it, body horror, it has an element of I can't control my own body. I have no autonomy over who I am anymore or whatever. That's horrific. But, in practice, a lot of it's pretty disgusting.
Okay,
Yeah.
Deco, can I run something by you really quick?
Yeah.
You in specific. So this is a conversation. Simba, if you're still there, this is something we talked about yesterday. So I have not posted on Two Sentence Horror in quite some time. And so I came up with, I thought, like, this is a beautiful two sentence horror. And so I ran it by Simba. And hey, Simba's a mod there. She can decide what she wants to decide. And I'll respect that. But so you said that horror can be disgusting. And so my two sentence horror was this. And so Deco, but everybody else weigh in too. Here was my two sentence horror that I was going to post. And I ran it by Simba, and she said it's gross, but it's not necessarily horror. And I said, okay, I got you. But here it is. As I walked through the national park, I stopped to drink from a pool of the bluest water I had ever seen. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the leaking porta potty at the top of the hill. Okay, come on. Horror?
That's, yeah.
Not horror.
Horrific.
I think it's horror. You would never be the same when you walked away from that. That is going to terrify you.
All right,
See,
someone
there's just
call.
not. You just gotta like put a pretty girl in there or something too. Like,
No, I think you could do. Did it get,
I think it was
did you
horror.
post it? Did it get removed or what?
No, I didn't post it because here was my thought was that people, and I meant it genuinely, I meant it as a scary thing to see. It would horrify me if that happened to me.
Mhm.
And so I thought, well, you know what? People are going to read this and they're going to think this is trolling. This is not a legitimate attempt at a horrific situation. And I thought it was. So I ran it by Simba, and Simba in good faith said, you know what? I don't think it's horror. I think it is gross. I think it is toilet humor. And I said, okay, I respect that. And I do. I don't feel differently, but I personally felt like this is horror. I would be horrified if I drank from what I thought was just this gorgeous water.
Yeah, well,
and it was porta potty leakage.
it's a mundane horror in the way that
It is.
There are plenty of no sleep story. I mean, there are plenty of two sentence horror stories where the premise has been basically that there's like police brutality going on or something like that. Like that's the horror of the story. And so like the horror of finding blue water in the woods and then finding out that it's like you think it's a glacial water and it's actually from some porta potty. Are you going to die? No, not necessarily, but you're not going to die from every two sentence horror story either.
Right.
Unless it's sugar soda, which
oh no, sugar soda is going to kill you 100% of the time.
Yeah, he's gonna put you in like a lawnmower, and you're not gonna have a good time. But I don't think it has to be like you die or you're trapped in like an existential hell where you're just like recursively looking at the back of your own head again and again and again and seeing someone come up and tap it with a hammer. That doesn't need to be the end of it. So yeah, I think it's horror.
Well, and that was my opinion.
A lot of garbage on two sentence horror also.
Well, and there is, and that's okay too. Because, and here's the thing, Echo. I think you brought up an interesting point. There's a lot of garbage on two sentence horror story, but is it garbage to everybody?
No, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think that like horror is very contextualized, and that there are horror stories, and No Sleep, I think it's trying to apply to the lowest common denominator when they come up with their rule that says this needs to be horrific and you need to have a narrator who's horrified during the story and stuff like that. I know it's a big like OOC topic of contention or whatever, but I think that there are cultural horrors that are going to apply to one group of people that aren't going to apply to your average American, and if it's someone who's posting a no sleep story that's Indian horror or whatever, and like if you're Gujarati only and you think that this is horrific, you might make up a decent percentage of the Reddit readership at a certain time of day, and you read that horror and you think, yeah, it's fucking horrific. And any American reader who reads it goes, I don't get it. Whatever.
The next time it comes up about, all right, how do you define horror? What is horror? I just put in the chat. I always refer back to something called the Fierarchy, which is these 5 essential fear, I guess, super categories or archetypes that encompass most of what you could probably call a horror story. So it goes in order from, I guess, most common to a more narrow or niche one. So fear of extinction, which includes death or your family being destroyed, your entire species being destroyed, something like the zombie apocalypse. So fear of extinction, fear of mutilation. That one's a very common base fear. That's you're you're hostile. We don't like being tortured or maimed or hurt. Fear of a loss of autonomy. So that can cover a very wide range. In the article, they talk about things like fear of intimacy and fear of commitment, or even fear of losing one's autonomy because now you're inviting people into your world that might have an impact on your life and how you live it. But from a very strict horror sense, something like a possession story is a loss of autonomy. It's you're literally not able to control your body anymore. Something's taking over. Fear of separation is the 4th one, which is, I really like that one. And I think put in a lot of my stories because it's not just physical separation, it's emotional distance, it's losing your child to a cult. It is a relationship falling apart. It is isolation, like you being stuck in a cabin or an Arctic post. And being
Every
separated.
backroom story.
Yep. And then the last one, which is by far my favorite, is the fear of ego death. And that is essentially being confronted with the reality that is different from your self-perception. So in the article, they even talk about public speaking being a possible fear of ego death, because if you're not able to speak in front of others or articulate what you want to say, then it can sort of create a cognitive dissonance. And this fear of ego death too is like learning that you in a terrifying situation react in a way that might be cowardly. Especially if you have built your personality around being like tough and rough and ready, and then when you're actually confronted with that, you run. That's ego death. So there are so many different cool ways that these 5 different fundamental fears, you can probably pick out multiple ones in pretty much any major horror media right now. So even going back to Ryan's favorite example of Halloween, there's of course the fear of extinction in the form of being killed, form of mutilation with Michael Myers brutalizing many of these people, but also separation with a lot of the family stuff that goes on. And I can't remember if Lori is still his sister in the canon, but there's a lot there. So I definitely think you can apply multiple things from the Fierarchy to pretty much any horror story on No Sleep and elsewhere. And that's neat. So now next time you get confronted with that and be like, well, what is a horror story? You can bring out this article and be like, listen, there's a pyramid. It's not a scheme. There are these 5 different things. So if I can say that my story includes at least one of these, you have to agree it's a horror story.
Travis, I think you actually brought up an oddly intellectual view on it. In fact, something I would enjoy doing in the future on here for all 6 of our viewers really would be to get more than one of the No Sleep mods on here and have a really good faith debate on what constitutes horror.
I'm shocked that we still have 6 people because it's been almost 2 hours.
It's right now, well, I don't know, we have 4.
Those 4
I think that
soldiering
those
on.
4 viewers could be the pill that the No Sleep mods want.
Oh, so Simba and
I'm calling
Hawaiian
them
are
out.
definitely still here. I'm going to give them a shout out. And we actually, I
Yeah.
do want to toss in here, we had somebody named El Moa that commented for the first time. They said, and now some wisdom. Every poo-poo time is a pee-pee time, but not every pee-pee time is poo-poo time.
Interesting. I think that that relates to the hierarchy and of course your porta potty story, which I personally find very terrifying because that stuff is
Well-
disgusting.
Well, and let me
think
give a
that-
shout out to Simba. Actually, Simba has said, she would not find it if I posted it. Just saying that it might do well after hearing your reasoning. So I will tell you this, we have seen live here in this chat a Reddit mod who listened to somebody's reason and agreed with it.
Wow. First time for everything.
So tomorrow, folks, somebody on 2 Sentence 4 is drinking blue porta potty water.
That's a wrap, guys. I mean, that's what
That's
this
it,
whole
that's
thing is
about-
for, right?
2 hours
It
in.
was,
I think Daria's got it.
Thank you for
Yeah,
inviting me to this.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Daria, thanks for joining us.
yeah. One day this will be like a more refined thing, perhaps, and we'll have more of a discussion.
definitely.
Yeah.
We could get music.
It's fun how we
Will
should.
you play it? Do you play music as well?
I
Someone
yeah,
play
look,
music?
It's that
it's a deep.
you no.
Nobody can hear that echo.
It's like the
at all.
inverse of sound. There's
So
literally
basic.
nothing.
I may as well
so
blow into the
basic,
top of
so-
this cup.
Okay, wait.
You should get a plastic recorder and just be like,
You hear that?
No.
we're gonna have to work on that. That's
Really?
pretty.
You've
that's-
got a noise canceling.
We'll get some
but
outro music.
Your
Daria,
mic is really good.
Daria, do you want to sing us out?
No.
Would you like to sing us a song?
No.
Oh, karaoke.
Goodbye.
All right. Goodbye, Twitch. Thank you for
Bye,
the
guys.
40.
Twitch,
Thank you
it's
so
been
much.
fun.
Thank you. It's
Thank
really
you for
fun.
joining us. Everybody, have
Go
a
read.
good night.
Plugs. Does anyone have anything to plug?
If you need a website, hire Daria.
Yeah.
You can find her on
This is
Reddit
true.
as you_dar, or you can send a message to us at midnight all day and we'll make sure that she gets it. And if you check out travisbrownwriting.com, you can see some of her work, and I think it's fantastic.
There you
Daria,
go.
do you have
Thank
any
you,
books?
Nope.
Yep,
Probably never will.
Instagram for your,
Well,
for your web
Buy
design.
Travis's books.
Yes, buy Travis's books. Buy
Buy
anyone
Daria's
selling
website.
shirts? What are you
All right.
selling, Ryan?
I wish I
Nothing.
was selling anything at all. I maybe have sold a story as a screenplay.
Ooh.
I can't sell that twice, but if anybody wants to go, I have no idea what I named it on Reddit, but the story on Dr. No Sleep is Healing Hands. That has been optioned as a screenplay by a very talented screenplay writer. So hopefully that happens. And if it doesn't, a noble attempt was made.
So a fun experience. Now, Ryan does have a garage full of gently used shake weights for anyone who's interested in
I
buying
do
those.
That was a rough start, guys. You gotta plan. That was rough.
Daria, I am overly proud of that start. I'm gonna be
So
honest.
wait. Can I get a show of thumbs here? Just thumbs up, thumbs down. If you were offered not a movie deal or anything like that, it's not Netflix coming to you. They're not offering you, a way out of student loan debt or anything like that. But it's just Broadway. Broadway wants to make a musical of your play. I mean, of your story, of your stupid story.
No.
No, I'm Siskel and Ebert over here.
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
That gets 2 thumbs up.
Daria says no.
No. They want
Just
to
a
make
play.
like
They want to make a musical of one of your horror stories.
I actually
Lin
agreed.
Manuel Miranda is doing it.
It says
I'm
that
I would give my stuff to community theater.
I have
I act in my own stuff.
a
I play all
graduate
the roles.
a graduate student reached out to me like 2 years ago asking if they could use Marie on the Moon to create a because they're studying music composition, a 1-act rock opera based on Maria on the Moon. And I actually got all
That's
the rights
awesome.
and stuff signed out so that they specifically only get to do this weird rock opera. They don't get anything with like the movie rights or even the audio. But they are supposed to do that sometime in their college career, in grad school. And that is just the silliest, funnest thing. And I hope that
Did they
still get through
make it?
They
Did it
haven't yet,
happen?
and it's been, I think they said it would be their senior capstone project or whatever the version of senior is for graduate school. So it would be either this year or next year. And I'm still holding out because they're supposed to send it to me if they ever do it. So rock
Well,
opera.
Dude, I hope
if,
that happens.
if it ever comes out, it's going to be a midnight all day exclusive, folks.
Oh yeah, we'll get them on here.
You'll see it
We'll live
first here
stream it.
before
And
it's
I
taken up on this
actually-
person's social media. That's official.
I can't
Are
remember.
those
I know-
rocks? Like, are
Yeah,
those
yeah, they're rocks.
eggs? Oh,
Decca,
okay.
that's why we brought you on. I was done with the bourbon, but I'm gonna pour just a little bit.
Is
more.
everyone drinking? I should have done that.
No, just
Yeah,
me.
you could have done a
Just
Bloody
me.
Mary or Bloody Maria on the Moon, which is
Ah.
Bloody Mary with
Oh,
a circular piece of ice in the center.
it's
Bob's
true,
Burger.
and a soapstone ward to keep away death.
I like that a lot. Speaking of rock opera, this is a fan song someone did for another story I wrote called Something Walks Whistling. And I don't know if I shared it with you guys before. Daria, I think I shared it with you a while ago, but it's heavy metal and it's honestly a banger. It has criminally
I
low
love
reviews
Canadian.
on YouTube, but this is something where if people like it, I can always reach out to this fella and ask if we can use a clip for it. It might be a little too heavy for the show, but it is fantastic running music.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's got a comment from Hyper Obscura saying this is all right or something.
Yeah. He told me that he listened to it quite a bit over
That's
and
good.
over.
That's really
Yeah. I like it a lot.
This is my ringtone for the electric company whenever they call. It just plays this song.
Jesus Christ.
You know not to pick
Forgot
up.
I have my background.
Whenever I'm
Damn
struck with luck.
it.
Hey, Queen.
Got her Burger King hat on. This is
Burger
awful.
King
I'm a terrible
Crown.
mother. Why are you on camera in your bikini, Vika? Go.
Daria, that is the highlight of my day.
Oh no.
Anyway,
You're not supposed to say that, right?
That's terrible. You're on
No,
every
it
watch
is.
list.
I'm sorry.
if you need to go and like drink a cappuccino on the beach or whatever, I'm just envisioning your life as opposed to the shitty lives
It's an
that we live.
iced latte usually. It's an iced latte. So
Iced
yeah, we're gonna go to the
Oh,
beach
yeah.
probably in a bit. But this is really fun. You guys are really funny. And
You'll have
fun.
to come back.
And a little creepy, but I think it works.
Yeah.
So Daria, would you join us again?
You
Would you
know,
come
like
back?
if you guys can do a slightly different time, I
Yeah.
need someone watching her because I feel so awkward and like also I
Well,
need to
Daria-
cut my hair again apparently because
I
apparently
I
last
hope
time
you
I
will-
chopped it off it wasn't
None of
Right.
us care about what we look like.
I think your hair
You're a
looks
mess.
delightful,
We're
and
all
I hope
terrible.
you'll join us again.
Thank you.
All right, everybody.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a really, really fun night for me at the very least. Thanks for joining us. This has been Midnight All Day, and we will see you next week.